Welcome to NWA and Beyond. This is Carter Clark and Russell King, and we're here today with our own Heather Campbell. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
This is fun. Heather, congratulations to you. You're just named the #1 Weichert Agent in the world.
In the world.
Isn't that
How
fun?
about that?
Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
good.
So super excited to have you here and just share a little bit about your career and how you got into what you're doing. But let's start off talking a little bit just about the state of new construction right now in Northwest Arkansas. Like, what are you seeing in new construction in Northwest Arkansas? That's your world, right?
Right. So new construction, we pretty much, run things, the same over time. There's few changes. We've got national builders here that's absorbing quite a bit of inventory. And so we're having to switch things a little bit more. We're trying to be a little bit more precise in what we're building, how we're building. Quality always wins, and I've got great builders that build great quality, and that always wins. Building in the right spot, the right home, all of that stuff always wins, and that's what we're seeing in new construction. The right price, the right home, the right floor plan, the right finishes, are continuing to sell and sell at great paces.
That's awesome. So who are you working with right now?
So
who are your builders?
So I have 3 builders that I work with right now. Payne Construction, Mike Payne, Boulder Creek Homes, Ali and Terry, and then I have Britnum Construction with John Britnum. And those builders I've had for quite a long time.
That's awesome. All right, so I also want to dig into, how did you get started in real estate?
So how I got started in real estate's kind of crazy. I was a vendor to Walmart and took a leave of absence to help a family who had a catastrophe. So I took a leave of absence to help them. And during that time, I decided I wanted a career change. I was tired of traveling. And so I explored real estate, getting my real estate license at the same time as getting my pharmaceutical sales license.
I didn't know that.
You picked the right one.
Yeah, I picked the right one, right? Well, what I did is I went and I just spent some days going to doctors' offices and sitting there and asking pharmaceutical reps if I could sit in with them and listen to how they talk to doctors. And then at the same time, I went to open houses and kind of explored and talked to real estate agents and tried to get in the active part of both those businesses. And I found out real quick, pharmaceutical sales seemed to be very much a man's world. And there was more talk about golf and things like that. And when I went to real estate and open houses, agents weren't turning on lights. They didn't have any idea of the addresses that they were at. And, they had black and white flyers. And I was like, I think I really can set myself apart in the real estate world. So
You can step up the game doing the little things, right?
it was the little things. I was like, I've got this. So I just decided to do real estate. And ironically, I had taken the real estate class about 6 years previous to this, and I didn't really finish it. And so I said, I'm going to try this again, and got my real estate license and just never looked back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think most people will know this, and you probably don't even know I'm going to bring this up, but you were just mentioning that you had taken time off to help a family. Is that right?
That's correct.
Little detail there. But most people don't realize that you were one of the biggest supporters and financial givers during my kidney transplant time.
Yes.
I mean, you text like crazy to me, my wife.
Yeah.
Supported us in all kinds of ways. And I think that's just something that goes unnoticed maybe because you do it kind of anonymously almost. And it's just a huge thing to see somebody who's at the pinnacle, top agent in the world and is given so much. I mean, you're a giver and a lot of people don't notice that. So I don't know if you can speak to that or maybe you just want to keep silent. But
No, I think that was a great moment for Weichert and for just in general, the real estate community. We did a fundraiser for you associated with an open house, and my builders contributed, Weichert contributed, and then our local agents came out, and everybody came out. It's probably the best realtor event that I've ever had, and we came out to support you, and that was awesome to see our community support fellow real estate agents.
Yeah, but it's just huge because a lot of times I don't think agents maybe or the public doesn't realize that somebody with your kind of reach, so to speak, was able to rise all these boats, with the tide rather than just, hey, let me get out in front. It was like, let me bring everybody with me on multiple levels, whether it was new construction, new subdivision, an agent who needed help or just a human that needed, some support. And you did all that at the same time. It's just kind of a thing that I don't think most people can do, Yeah, it's like, it almost makes me tear up to, just to be
well, you're going to make me tear up. But yeah, I mean, there's something to be said to be able to do what we do and influence towards helping people. And I think that there's nothing that can ever take the place of that. And, we've got a great community, real estate agents, we thrive in helping people, and why not do it for our own when we can?
It's good.
And there's a small group of us, it's really a small group of real estate agents out there when you really look at it.
Yeah.
Tell us a little story about how you and my favorite story is where we met. The first time me and Heather met, Russell, was
I didn't know this.
So
yeah, so when I got into the business, I jumped right into new home sales, and I was with a company that was representing a subdivision, and that's where I started with two of my builders in these subdivisions. So Payne Construction, Boulder Creek, I've had for 20 years, which probably is one of my biggest prides that I have in real estate, is that, it's unheard of to represent a builder for 20 years. And I've got two of them that I've done that. So that's a great pride.
It says a lot about you, in that relationship. And
yeah. And I think it says a lot about just the company that I'm with and that kind of stuff. And I'll touch on that a little bit. But I met Carter. Carter knocked on my door, and I was sitting at a model home about 3 months into real estate, and I didn't know anything. I literally didn't know anything. And he knocked on my door and he said, "Hey, what do you think about real estate? How are things going?" And, I'm showing him around like I'm going to sell him a house. I had no clue. We get upstairs. I'm showing him the house. We get upstairs to the media room, and Finding Nemo, right?
Yep, Finding
Nemo was playing, and Carter goes,
a classic opportunity to visit with Finding Nemo on in the background.
Yeah. And Carter says, "I love this movie," and I'm like, "You do?" And he's like, "Nah, not really. I don't watch movies." And I was like, "Oh, okay." We sat down and we watched Finding Nemo. It's probably the only movie Carter has ever watched.
I didn't really watch it because we were just talking
the
whole time.
Yeah, we were talking.
There wasn't a lot of watching movies.
And we sat there and just talked, and we're like, gosh, we're kind of alike. We think alike. And from there, that was it. From there, I was hooked and met Brandon soon after that, and been with you guys ever since.
It's the funniest, where that began, and then all the paths that we've gone. How many model homes me and Brandon have sat in the back of a trailer moving for you, and then finally the last one.
Yeah, and I mean, and really, we kind of grew up together in this business, because when I tell you I don't know what I was doing, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was selling houses. And so we would have a model home, or what we would call a model home. It was really now what we call a staged home. And we'd stage it and I'd sell it. And I would call the guys and call you and Brandon and say, "Hey, we need to move." And we were, two guys in a trailer at the time.
In a trailer. It was not even a truck.
And so
it was in a trailer. We'd move.
Yeah, here my owners are of my company, which who knew, that this happens, but they would move us. One time Brandon was driving Brandon was driving, Carter was on the back, and we lost Carter. We lost couches, we lost Carter.
If anybody knows the Hummingbird, knows what pace he was taking, moving furniture down the road. It wasn't a leisurely stroll,
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't run over you, but yeah, we lost Carter, and he walked the rest of the way to the house, very slow, and we just went from there. And after about 12 moves, they said,
"That's it.
We're not moving you
That's
anymore."
That's it, Heather. You're on your own now. You got to move your own.
But yeah, just how we started is hilarious, and just the growth from there is just unbelievable.
Yeah,
everybody.
It's been fun. You've been with us since. We had 15 people, right?
Yeah.
And to where we are now, and just the different feel of the way the office is, the kind of tools and resources that we have, the people we have now.
Yeah.
It's such a fun ride to be on together and kind of see how we've been able to impact everybody's career.
Yeah, it's funny because I've listened to a couple of the podcasts that you guys have done, and it just takes me back home, because it's so wild for me to think that things are so the same, but so different. And like, we are the same people. We are the same goofy people. You're the same person that fell off that trailer. You know, I'm the same person that, you know, was learning as we were going. And Lord help us, Brandon's the same.
Just making it up as you go.
Yeah, we make it up as we go. But we're so much better. You know, we're so much better, but we're the same people.
Hey, I'm going to speak on that, and I don't need you to pat Carter on the back, but, you know, you could really go anywhere. Like, really, right? I mean, the number one agent in the world.
Oh.
You could be at any firm. You could be in any town. Like, let's speak to that a little bit about why you've never moved. Why are you here now and you know, for the last 20 years?
You know, to me, success is who you surround yourself with. And I realize real quick that I can be more successful with who I surround myself with. People that help with my weaknesses, people that encourage me, people that think like me, and people that want to win. And there's better splits out there. There's fancier offices out there. None of that matters when at the end of the day, you depend on the people around you and who you are. Yeah. And Weichert, in my opinion, Brandon Carter specifically, get the best out of people. And, you know, they demand themselves to be the best, and they want the best out of people. And best idea has always won. And that's why I'm here. And, you know, a cool thing is happening at Weichert that I'm seeing. And it's this growth that's happening. And not just happening with new agents coming on, but we're starting to see this generational growth. And I'm seeing things like Hannah Wagner, or she's not Hannah Wagner, but Tina Wagner's daughter, Hannah, coming on. Hannah Edwards, coming on. And I've known her since she was
known her as Hannah Edwards or Hannah Wagner her whole life.
Her whole life, since she was like 5. But like, I'm seeing her come on. My daughter, Haley, and what she's doing for the company. And I'm seeing this generational growth. And you can't find that in every company. You can't find best idea wins. You can't find, you know, thinking outside the box. You can't find the training. And it's all those things. And some of them I do. Some of them my team might do. But it's the people around me doing it. Yeah. And it matters. It matters where you are. It matters who's pushing you. Your splits don't matter. Your splits don't matter. Your office doesn't matter. Your mindset matters. Yeah. And the leadership at Weichert has the right mindset.
You know, it speaks to the whole fact that, like, loyalty is a lost art, but it's more than loyalty. It's not even like, well, I'm just going to grind it out for my broker, right? It's like a movement that happens within yourself and the people around you. Like you said, like, surround yourself with the people that are forcing you to grow, you know, or you can go by the wayside and just make it easy, you know, but that's not changing your own life or anybody else's.
No. And loyalty is a two-way street. I mean, like the guys have been loyal to me. I mean, super loyal to me. I'm super loyal to them. And like, that is what builds foundation. And until you have a foundation, you have trust, you know, this industry is hard, you know, and when you sit and say, who's in my corner, I can name 50 people in my corner, you know, and some of those are outside agents, but a lot of them are Weichert people, and it's Weichert people at corporate, it's Weichert people local. And, you know, I don't ever have to question. Yeah. And the trust and the loyalty and the foundation that they've built is what's helped me be where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, and you know, we love you, you know, so it's like, it's different.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, let's talk about what you do day to day and what makes your business hum and what makes you do what you do. So right now you're working with 3 builders. Mm-hmm. How many subdivisions do you have going on right now?
Ooh, I've got several subdivisions going on. I've got Big Sky, I've got Scissortail, I've got Aurora. Those are all in Bentonville. I've got Trail Ridge in Bentonville. It's kind of a one-street subdivision. I've got Hawthorne Heights that's with a investment group that's in Bentonville. I've got Osage Hills, Jacobs Crossing, Livingston. Those are all Brittenham communities, Bentonville and Springdale and Fayetteville. I've got new neighborhoods coming on the market, some in Bentonville. So we've got a lot going on.
That's great. So what are you seeing right now as far as like trends in new construction? Let's talk a little bit about the difference between trends going on in Bentonville. Like, what price would somebody be looking at a new construction house in Bentonville? In the different price points, what do those houses look like?
Bentonville's really got 3 key markets. We've got an opening price point, under the 400 mark. It's kind of hard to find, but in that, right at that 400 mark is a good price point. We're seeing, good quality builds there out of Britnum. In general, we're competing with national builders. And nothing wrong with national builders, but they offer a different product.
So would that be your D.R. Hortons?
Yeah.
Is kind of the competition?
Yeah,
in that
Raj
market?
Coleman, Lennar, that kind of thing. They're cranking out, track level homes, that kind of thing, where Britnum's offering a little bit more spice to life, a little bit better finishes, that kind of stuff. And then, there's some different price points. There's that middle price point. And then what I dabble in is the upper price point. So anything over about 800 is kind of what Boulder Creek and Payne are doing. Super good quality, smart floor plans, secondary bedrooms on the main level, bonuses on the main level, just really hitting what people are looking for in communities and locations that they're looking for.
What in that price point is kind of like the finish outs that somebody could expect in a $800,000 new construction house, size-wise, price-wise? And
I mean, you're expecting quartz, you're expecting some dabbles of like some woodwork, some beams, some things like that, some wow factors. You're expecting cabinets to the ceiling, really great kitchen layouts, primary suites that really make sense and offer, a variety of options, from like a sitting area or different things going on in the bathroom that are just luxury type things. But really, our keys are to hit the floor plans, and floor plan keys are secondary bedrooms down. Families either need a place for a small child, or they need a place that their parents can come and not have to go on stairs. Everybody's looking. COVID changed things for us a little bit, where, we were strictly, before COVID, everything was focused on bonus room. Now that bonus room is a utility room. So it might be a exercise room. It might be a bonus room. It might be a kid's learning center, things like that. So we're trying to be universal and try to hit things, that people are wanting, and people that are moving here. So it's not necessarily always our move up buyer here. It's what people are used to seeing out in the market.
so you have subdivisions in Bentonville. Where else are you doing stuff right now? I know Fayetteville and Springdale. What's it like down there?
So Springdale is such a growing market. We're on the east side of Springdale, right? So we're over there on the east side of Springdale,
On the right side?
Yeah, on the right side. Yeah, and we've got
For those that don't know, Heather's directionally challenged, so everything in front of her is north. And
yes.
then to the right would be the east.
Yeah, and if I back up, I'm going south.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I'm very directionally challenged. That's never going to change. But in Springdale, we've got a great subdivision called Jacobs Crossing, and so it's a Britnum build subdivision. It's just a fantastic community. We've got lots. It's a ready to go home with fence, blinds, and gutters, everything included. So it's ready to go, and great floor plans that make sense. It's in Springdale, and then Britnum's got another subdivision going. It's really a unique opportunity for somebody. It's called Livingston, and it's off of Old Wire and Crossover. Fantastic community, very unique style houses, great finishes. Kind of a modern style in such a desired location.
We had you had the open house over there the other day, and just the floor plan and the layout of those homes is awesome, and it's right there by Gully Park. It's right close to the schools. It's an awesome location.
Yeah, and just a cool, different thing. I mean, we're keeping Fayetteville funky, so we stayed in line with that, and it's really a cool build.
What are some of the subdivisions, like amenities things? What are some of the cool amenities that some of the neighborhoods have that would kind of stand out to somebody if they're looking to buy new construction in any of the communities? Yeah,
Scissortail, I've got Boulder Creek that still builds in Scissortail, and we've got Aurora. Those subdivisions are top line amenities. 2 pools, different kind of play areas, that kind of stuff. We're seeing a little change, I think, going forward. Land prices are so expensive here. So finding the right amenities for the right cost in subdivisions is getting tough.
It almost makes it impossible in some cases.
It is almost making it impossible for the insurance, but for the build out of those amenities. So and in the timing of what you can do with those, not everybody has not every developer has $1 million, $3 million to set aside to build amenities, and it's expensive. So we're seeing some different things. I think we're going to see more recreational type amenities, where walking trails and maybe like walking / exercise type stations, and some different things where we may not see as many pools in the near future with land prices.
I like it. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in the way homes were built 20 years ago when you started in this to what they are now? What are some of the trends that you're seeing that have changed to where this is the new norm now, where somebody that hadn't bought a house in 10 years and when they were looking at new construction back then, it's a whole different finish, or whatever the trends are? What are you seeing some of the trends right now that are popping and popular?
We went through that whole gaudy stage of everything was gold and maroon. Okay. Thank goodness we got out of that. It took us a while, but we got out of that. And then I feel like we went through a throw everything, in the houses. And that's when we were coming out of that bubble, trying to get people to buy, and we threw everything in there. Then we went to very sleek and slim and gray, and not a lot of trim, not a lot of accent, because we went in this market where you could build anything and it would sell. We're now in a market where it's got to be right, and it's got to hit the right price. So depending on what price point you're in, maybe you need crown molding, maybe that's coming back. Maybe you need better appliances. Maybe you're in a lower price point and you don't have to put those extras. The trend right now is to hit it right. So you got to know who your buyer is. You got to know, what they're looking for, and you've got to be very smart. You as a builder right now, you cannot put in finishes that you don't have to have because the margins are too tight. Also, as a builder, you can't leave something out because this person's expecting it in this price point. It's crazy.
That's fine balance of walking to exactly what that buyer needs and doing your homework before you even start the project.
Yes, and making sure you know that, because in that upper price point, those houses are taking 6 to 8 months to build. Sometimes in our market, 6 or 8 months is long history, and so you've got to be, on top of what you're doing, and especially with the price points, we're building a house that we built 4 years ago, very similar house, and we're selling it for $150 more square foot now.
Wow.
So does that change that buyer? It might. Do we have to update and make sure we're meeting the needs of that buyer? Yeah, and what they're looking for. It's more important ever, in my opinion, in new construction, to be on point with where you're building, what you're building, what it looks like.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the unique matrix that gives you the ability to not build a cookie cutter house next to a cookie cutter house next to another cookie cutter, right?
Yep.
You have to know exactly, because otherwise you're just flipping the floor plan, and then you're not elevating the community or the subdivision or any of that.
Right. And there's a right spot for that cookie cutter.
Sure.
But what land prices are going for right now and what lots are going for, you got to be on point. And so if you're going to be cookie cutter, you better turn volume.
That's good.
Let me ask you this, too. So you've been with your builders for a long time, and there's a trusted relationship there that you've built and grown and developed over the years. How has your role changed where now you're like a trusted advisor, almost a partner with them on this project and have been for a long time? What does your role look like with them now? Day to day, as far as helping them hit that number, hit the right floor plan? Are you with them from the get go, as far as when they're picking plans, picking lots, all that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm with them from the get go. Probably before we're even. I'm with them at the get go when we're looking at a field, And does this field make sense? Is this where we want to go? Whatever town that's in, whatever, we're doing, we're from the get-go. A price point, look, house, finishes, targeted buyer, all that kind of stuff. It's funny because with my builders, it's kind of the same thing as with you and Brandon. Everything's the same, but it's different. They trust me as much as I trust them, and they look to me for insight to what's going on, and I know that they're going to build the product that's going to sell, and so it's that kind of a relationship that I have with them. And like I said, Boulder Creek and Payne Construction, we've been together 20 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, and everybody's got their lane, and they're really good in their lane.
Yes, and
everybody's really good at what they do in their spot.
Yeah,
and everybody knows their role, and they're capitalizing on it.
Absolutely.
You're not telling them how to build a house, but they're looking at you for your expertise and your market knowledge and what's trending and all that sort of thing.
That's right. And looking at me to make sure I know what's going on out there. The best builders are targeted on what they're doing and taking advice from those around them. I need to know what else is selling. I need to know the next place to build. I need to know what we should be building. And so they look to me for that, and I try to stay up on that.
That's great. So if somebody was out there right now that was thinking about getting in the real estate business, I mean, you went from vendor world to, thinking about what your options were, single mom, and you said, I'm going to jump in this real estate world. I mean, obviously not everybody's going to be doing new construction, but they could be doing resale. They could be doing new construction. They could be doing whatever. What advice would you give somebody that was getting in the business? How would you tell them to kind of structure their career for long last? We know that everybody that's been in this business knows it's a snowball, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to plan for that snowball. If you said, hey, this is the path you need to jump on, what advice would you give somebody?
Yeah, so it's funny because I just came out of a meeting with my team a little bit, and we talked a little bit about this. Real estate is a roller coaster. And those that can master the roller coaster can master success in real estate. You got to take out the highs, you got to take out the lows. And the only way, in my opinion, to do that is activities. I don't want anybody to think that getting into real estate, my nephew's new into real estate, and I just talked to him about this. Real estate creates anxiety. It just does. It just really does. You're either a little bit anxious because you don't have a deal, or you're a little bit anxious because you got 4 deals and you're trying to juggle. Yeah. And so you have to control that anxiety. And to control anxiety, over time, I've learned that you just live in the moment. You're right here. Right here, right now, I'm fine. If I start worrying about the past, I get a little anxious. If I start worrying about the future, I get a little anxious. So it's right here, right now. What can I do right here, right now? Well, I can do an activity. What activity can I do? Something that's money making. Let me make a call. Let me send out something out of my CRM. Let me do something that's money making right now to ease that anxiety and to ease that unknown. And if you just keep doing that, then you're just fine. And that's what I think I would tell anybody getting into real estate. Don't worry about who's doing what. Don't worry about what you did. What you did yesterday doesn't matter. Yesterday was the easiest day you're going to have.
That's good.
Okay.
Today, you got to live in the present.
You got to live today. Yesterday was the easiest day you're ever going to have. So it's today, and do an activity. If you feel overwhelmed, do an activity. Do an activity that's money making, and it'll cure your anxiety. It'll cure the roller coaster, and it'll make a career out of real estate.
That's awesome. So it's funny too, because we just talked about Griffin Growth Labs today, and that's all it is, right? It's just activities that's planned and strategic that managers are going to walk right beside the agents with to make sure they're doing all the right activities to get them there. The other thing that you just talked about is you can't worry about yesterday or tomorrow.
No.
That's a whole different mindset than a lot of businesses. So what's interesting is about this, and we've lived through this a few times, is the market changes, right? Yeah. One day it could be hot as a firecracker. When we opened in 2003, we didn't realize what a rise we were on when we opened. We realized it pretty quick in 07, 08. We realized we were on the ride up, And I remember sitting in a lull with you and Barry and Marcy and Brandon, and we were like, all right, we got to have this much money this month to keep the doors open. Heather goes, I got 2. I go, I got 2. Brandon says, I got 1. Barry says, I got 2. And we're like, all right, if we do that, we can keep the doors open. And that was real, but what you realize after you've been in the business and you've ridden a couple rides, right? You ride that, You ride that little ride up, you hit '08 and the world's falling, and then you climb back out, and then you hit COVID and you go, what's going to happen today? What we do know is there's always still people buying and selling.
Yes.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter what the environment was at the time, whether it was the worst national news in the world or the best national news in the world. People were still buying and selling houses in Northwest Arkansas and all over the place.
Yeah.
The difference is the people that were so busy watching the news that forgot to go do this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like the people that looked around and go, oh my God, the world's falling. There's no way that anybody's going to think about buying or selling a house today. And guess what? There's people buying or selling a house every single day.
Every single day. Yeah. And every single day. That's the coolest thing about what we do is you have control over you. You have control over what you do. And if you just do the right things, there's somebody that's going to buy or sell a house with you. And so it happens every day. Just how much of the piece of the pie are you going to get?
That's right.
And if you're not getting enough piece of the pie, check your activities.
Yeah.
You know, and if
It's a mirror check.
Yeah, and if you're getting a good piece of the pie and you're overwhelmed with some of the aspects of that, check your processes. It's about activities and processes that makes things smoother. And something to be said to that, you know, a big part of my success and some of the things you're asking is about who my support is. And so that's another thing that I'm so prideful about is, you know, I have a listing assistant that's been with me 11 years. I mean, it's longer than my marriages. I mean, it's a long time. They're laughing at me, but it's the truth.
True.
I mean, and Carter's been with me a long time. He knows what it takes for 11 years, but she has been with me 11 years.
That is amazing.
I mean, it's amazing. She can turn circles around me when it comes to listing houses. My closing assistant, Nita, she's been with me 6 years. She's also my personal assistant. I would not have electricity if it wasn't for her. Yeah. Like she just runs the world for me and allows me to do what I do. Caitlin's my new marketing person. She's been with me almost a year and she's fantastic. I have these long-term people that have been with me that are my support staff. It's more than support. It allows me to do what I do, but what they do is unbelievable, you know, in the back end of things. And they're you know, I always, if you ask them what their most important role is, you're going to laugh, but their most important role is to make me look better. That's what they will tell you. And that's not to say that I need to look good out there. It's to say we can be chaos on the back end, but on the front end, we know what we're doing. Yeah. And if you don't have that kind of staff and that kind of support, it's hard to do the volume that we do.
Yeah, it's the people, tools, and systems that you apply every day.
Yes.
And you can sit here and say, well, I want to make money tomorrow, but what's the activity you're going to do today that gets you money tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, in our business, it's all chaos, right? Like it's organized chaos. And that's the part that many people don't understand that aren't in the business. Yeah. Like our job is to be the calm in the middle of the storm, and everything's a storm. I mean, you're dealing with a highly emotional purchase for a lot of people.
Yes.
And sells for a lot of people too. And in the construction side, there's many wrenches that can be thrown in the thing.
And you know, we don't like fires. We have fires. We have time in our day to put out fires, but it's the processes and my staff that creates process. Like I'm telling you right now, if something goes wrong today, my staff will have a process for it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I don't have to come up with that. They do. And that's the greatness of how we work. And Weichert's the same way. You know, if we find a glitch, then we create a process to fix that glitch or to fix that void. And it's ever changing. There is no day in real estate that's the same.
Well, we've said it a million times. We're far from perfect.
Oh.
You know, but we're at least trying. We go to work every day to get better. You know, and that's the thing about it.
I mean, I think when you can identify that, you know, you're not perfect is the best, you know, that you can do for yourself. We all need grace and we all got to give grace. And, you know, we're lucky to be able to do what we do and to have the success that we've had. And more importantly, to build the relationships that we've been able to build. You know, one of my things, too, that I'm so prideful about is the relationship that I have with other agents. I have agents that you know, I at a drop of a hat will do anything for me and I'll do anything for them. And I have agents that, you know, I might not see for a year and see them and give them a hug. And, you know, I have mentors out there. Mesa Harris is probably my biggest mentor, and she's just a phenomenal person. And so I have deep relationships that this industry has given me. And so not only can you help people, not only can you, you know, build relationships, but this can be a successful career.
It's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down. This has been fun, kind of catching up, kind of hashing back what the old days and kind of how it all went down, the old Finding Nemo moments.
The old days,
old Finding Nemo moments, standing in the back of a truck, sitting on a couch as we're moving it down the road. But it's been an absolute joy, fun ride. And so proud to see your success, proud to see all the things that you've done. And
well, thank you.
Appreciate you sitting in with us.
And just so you know, I don't know if you know this, but Brandon's thrown me from a car too.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
We were on the golf course, and if you've ever ridden in a golf cart with a hummingbird, he took a left, quick, and I went rolling to the right.
To the right.
Yeah.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah.
I am not surprised. Well, again, thank you for coming on the show and hanging out with us.
You bet.
All right, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with NWA and Beyond. The best way to support this show is to share it with one of your friends who you find it helpful. Like, follow, and share wherever you listen to podcasts.